We don't know the position of James Orengo, but one thing is obvious: he's not in good condition health-wise. But then, since we don't have, uh, I want to talk about his deputy governor. We have had instances where uh, you, yeah, like Orengo, the last word you would want to hear is about his deputy, isn't it? But if things continue the way they are, this deputy will just find himself suddenly being the governor. So this one, James Orengo's issues, reminds us of two generals who were on their way home, but their stars shone brightest. Both were Muslim army generals. These are people who, in their own time, at one time, they would thinking that next week, at such and such a time, uh, today is Wednesday. Yeah, I say next Wednesday at a time like this, I'll be at home, a retired general. But what happens? Instead of being a retired general, things now shot up like nothing. Just like Orengo's deputy governor could be thinking that his days are up, and suddenly he finds himself as the governor. Should Orengo resign? Should Orengo die? Should anything like that happen or impeached? He cannot hand over power to any other person. There can never be a by-election. It is the deputy governor who takes over. But we don't know whether he's sick. We don't know whether anything. But it reminds us of a few cases of people who are on their way home, like the deputy governor, then suddenly finding themselves thrashed into limelight. It is also possible that his illness is related to alcoholism. In the case he's sick, actually, it has to do most likely with alcoholism. One thing I know about uh, secret and heavy intake of alcohol is that it is fatal. It is fatal, especially if you like taking uh, these pombe kali kali, whiskeys and whatever hot drinks. I'll give you an example of people who used to do that. Among the people that James Kanyotu was unable to stop was Mr. Kimeto. James Kanyotu was the head of the intelligence, and he was very clever. He was very clever. He knew that if he has an effective deputy director of intelligence, then that more you would make that person the director of intelligence. So you would, if you became a deputy director of intelligence, James Kanyotu made sure that you just work there for a few days or a few months, and then he found a way of you getting out of that position. So James Kanyotu survived without a deputy for most of the time. But Kimeto was the provincial head of intelligence in Rift Valley, and Kimeto was a Kalenjin. My professional opinion is that Kimeto was fit. Kimeto was fit professionally. I believe Kimeto was fit professionally. He could do the job of director of intelligence very efficiently. Uh, his relationship, that is Kimeto's relationship with everybody, especially special branch officers, across the rank and file was cordial. James Kanyotu himself was also same. On a professional level, we could say that because any position you hold it at the mercy of God. Tomorrow you may be dead, isn't it? So Kanyotu was efficient, and so was Kimeto and others. But today we are talking about Kimeto. The only problem with the Kanyotu was that he made sure that the position of deputy director of intelligence was always vacant. As I said, uh, The third level, you see the highest person was the director of intelligence. The second one was the deputy director of intelligence. And the third in position were the PSBOs. PSBOs, that is Provincial Special Branch Officers. And Kimeto was one of them. Who was as equally, Kimeto was as equally as good as Kanyotu, and he was in Rift Valley, and he was a Kalenjin. Remember, Moi had a soft spot for anybody who was a Kalenjin. But there was a second problem. There was a second problem. The first problem we saw was that Kanyotu blocked potential bosses. But Kimeto was in Rift Valley, so he was not in the head office. So Kanyotu, it was a bit hard for him. The second problem was Moi's hatred for people who take alcohol. Moi detested people who take alcohol, and Kimeto convinced Moi that he had stopped alcohol. Mzee, pombe tu nimeacha. It was easy for Moi to believe Kimeto. Because I said Moi had a soft spot for people who were Kalenjins. Both Moi and Jomo spent a lot of time within Nakuru. So Kimeto would be among the first people to be with the president well before kids went to school, very early in the morning, before 7. They would depart a few minutes after midnight. So for the time that Moi was in Nakuru, the deputy PSBO, the deputy provincial special branch officer in Rift Valley, was practically taking over the position. Kimeto would all the time be with the president from very early in the morning to the time when he leaves the president to sleep. And you see, Moi and Kenyatta both spend a lot of their time in Nakuru. For all the days that Moi would be in Rift Valley, that is. But when Moi was in other places, sana coast, things would be different. So what Kimeto would do after arriving at his home and before sleeping, he would gulp a bottle of whiskey. He would gulp a bottle of whiskey, and then he would sleep and whatever. So he used to take that, and there was no way Moi would suspect him to be drinking alcohol, because every morning he's there, the first person to arrive, and in the evening he'd be the last person to leave. So one time he collapsed and died in alcohol-related death. As for Orengo, the only evidence of his alcoholism is the few leaked pictures showing him in a drinking bench with the Raila Amolo Odinga. This brings us to the main topic today. Of the two generals who got lucky, and I said coincidentally both of them are Muslims. Here at home, Mohammed Mahmoud was retiring from the military. He was actually in Nairobi for the purpose of clearance. He was in Nairobi for the purpose of clearance because he had lost a power struggle with Sawe. I've recorded it elsewhere, but I'll talk about it quickly. Sawe and Mahmoud walikuwa wanachimbana, everybody anapeleka fitina kwa president. So it reached a place when Sawe had the upper hand, and Moi saw that they cannot work, the two of them. So Mahmoud was to go and retire, and he was in Nairobi clearing up before he goes home. And then the August 82 coup attempt happened, and since he was the most senior person around, is the one who took control and was lucky to be in the right place at the right time. From there, he worked again for 15 more years. That is 14 more years, from 1982 to 1996. Somebody who was supposed to retire, he found himself working again for 14 more years. That is why Tonje came up with this rule saying that those people who stay for a long time, they block other people from occupying such positions. Across again in Nigeria, we have General Abdul Salam Abubakar. Abdul Salam Abubakar. He's another general who was about to go home, and luck shown to him that he was the type of a person who would have said, next week nitakuwa nyumbani nimeretire. But he didn't retire. He became the president. So that is why I said that the deputy governor of Siaya is an idle person and doing nothing. Be it medical or even the call by the Lord, if it happens, then he'll find himself from being idle to being the governor. Now let us talk about the Nigerian general, Abdul Salamin Abubakar. I hope I've mentioned well. He was hated by the president, General Abucha. The day before Abucha died, not Abucha. People used to call him Abucha because he used to butcher people, isn't it? He was hated by General Abacha. He was hated by General Abacha, and he was the third highest ranking military officer. There was the president, there was another general who was the vice president, and then there was this General Abdul Salmin Abubakar. Where there was the General Abubakar. So the day there was the day, can you imagine? You are told you are going to retire and become a civilian. 18 hours you are the president. Now what happened was that he went and talked to the president, Abacha, the final send-off. They talked and he left. He was waiting for the following day now to go to his royal home. Now he was going to his royal home the following morning. That night, Abacha had a meeting with his deputy. The deputy, the person who was between Abacha and the retiring officer. His deputy, another general, usually had a one-on-one meeting, and after the deputy head of state had left Abacha, Abacha never met anyone else but went to sleep. So on this particular day, Abdul Salman, the name Abubakar, yeah, General Abubakar was going to meet the president. After meeting the president, he went. Then the deputy head of state, another general, talked to Abacha. After they talked, he left. On this particular day, the ADC, for those of you who don't know, the ADC is the military person who stands behind the president. On this particular day, the ADC discovered that the president was dead. The ADC decided to summon all generals to State House without telling them what had happened. Now you know the president's ADC is a very, very powerful person. He summoned the generals. The president wants to see you. Can you hurry up? They all hurried there. All of them were taken to the president's bedroom, but the vice president was left in a guest wing. There is a guest wing where you are usually taken as you wait to meet the president. But other generals went to the president's bedroom, and the ADC said that the ADC showed them that the president has died. Then the ADC said that the vice president, being the last person to be seen with the Abacha, it could not be ruled out as and he was the last person to be seen with Abacha. And in the order of things, should Abacha die or resign or anything, the vice president would have been the president. So he said that they do not rule out the possibility that the vice president may have a cause of the may be related to the death, so that he becomes the president. So he told them that the vice president will not be there because he could be the cause of the death. So he cannot benefit from a position where they suspect that he may be the person who killed the president. Once the general agreed on who was to take over from Abacha, then the vice president was called and he was given the information. They was given an information that and generals have met and they have decided that since the president is dead, you are not taking over. This other one is taking over. There has been rumors. Let me address the issue. There has been rumors that Abacha died with a packet of Viagra and 3 ladies. That is not true. That is not true. Abacha's last minutes were that he had a discussion with his deputy, and the deputy went, and Abacha slept. Today, nobody knows what killed Abacha. The purpose of today's episode is to do with the deputy governor. He doesn't even step at the county offices, and he is technically a ghost worker. On medical or even death will propel him to be the governor, just like the Kenyan and Nigerian generals. A person who who was preparing for a civilian life ended up being uplifted. The reason why Nigeria returned to civilian government was that the general had set his mind to retirement position, and so he didn't have time even to extend his stay there indefinitely. Well, a civilian government came over, and during the civilian government, many generals were found to be guilty of corruption, but General Abu Bakr was among them. He was also corrupt, but the civilian government forgave him because he had set the country back to civilian rule. Now you know it. Thank you.